If you're spending $10,000, $20,000 or more per month on Facebook ads and watching your cost per call climb higher every single month, you need to hear this. The high-ticket online space has become obsessed with ads, and it's bankrupting businesses. Today, I'm going to break down every single way you can acquire new clients and the pros and cons of each method, and why relying solely on paid ads is the riskiest thing you can do for your business. Now, let me start by explaining why this entire industry is so freaking obsessed with Facebook ads. And it's simple. It's the only thing that's been taught. And every course, every guru, every coaching program for the last 5 to 7 years has pushed the same model. Run Facebook ads to a VSL, book calls, close deals. And for a while, it worked beautifully. You could get, qualified calls for, $75 to $150 and print money. But here's what happened. Everybody started doing it. The market got flooded, and now you have thousands of coaches, consultants, and agencies all competing for the same ad space, bidding against each other, driving costs through the roof. And what used to cost about $100 per qualified show now costs $400, $500, sometimes even $750 freaking dollars or more, depending on your niche, for a call. And that's only getting worse. And on top of that, audiences have become completely numb to ads. They've seen every hook, every pattern interrupt, every stop scrolling opener. Their brains automatically filter out anything that looks and sounds like an ad. And your creative that worked 6 months ago is now invisible. And here's what nobody talks about. Facebook can shut down your ad account at any point in time. One algorithm update, one compliance flag, one competitor reporting you, and your entire lead flow disappears overnight. I've seen personally businesses go from 100,000 plus months to zero revenue in a matter of weeks because their ad account got banned. Now, when you build your entire business on Facebook ads, you're building on rented land. And the landlord, which is Mark, can evict you whenever he wants. Because ads, they simply aren't a business strategy. They're a gamble. And right now, the house is winning and has been winning for years. Now, you might be sitting there and wondering, well, what are my actual options for getting clients? And there are 5 main channels. One is paid advertising, so Facebook, YouTube, Google, TikTok ads. The second is outbound, cold email, cold DMs, cold calling. The third is organic content, such as YouTube, podcasts, social media content, and so on and so forth. The fourth is referrals, which are past clients and network that basically you have built up over time. And fifth, you have your partnerships, right? These are joint ventures, affiliates, and strategic alliances. But what I have been noticing is that most businesses are basically putting all their eggs into the paid ads basket and completely ignoring the other 4 channels, right? Now, let me basically break down each one with the real pros and cons to each model, right? And let's just start with paid ads, since that's what everybody's doing. Here are the pros, okay? So the pros of paid advertising is that it's scalable. Once you have a winning campaign, you can theoretically pour more money in and get more leads. And also, it's super fast, right? You can turn on ads today and have calls booked on your calendar tomorrow. And it's pretty predictable when it's working. You put in X amount of dollars and you get Y calls. Now let's talk about the cons, right? Because it is extremely expensive right now, because your cost per call pretty much has doubled or tripled in the last 2 years for most niches. And it requires a significant amount of upfront capital and effort, because you need to spend money to make money in this customer acquisition model, right? And you might burn thousands before finding a winning campaign, right? And the other thing that I don't see a lot of people talk about is the time in versus time out, right? For content and paid ads, especially with a new update that got updated in November of last year, the Andromeda update with Facebook, you have to be constantly putting out new content. And what I have heard, I do not know the truth to this, is that once you spend about $5,000 on ads, you have burned those creatives, and you need to basically build new creatives so you don't get ad fatigue. If you're a media buyer and you have more experience on that, please comment down below and correct me if I'm wrong, but that is what I have heard. And in my experience, the amount of ads that you need to be building basically takes up almost all of your time, right? And most businesses don't have dedicated media buyers to constantly churn out new creatives, right? Now, the other thing that we need to keep in mind here is that it is very, very competitive, okay? Because you're bidding against everybody else in your space for the same eyeballs, okay? The algorithm changes constantly. So what works today might not work next month. And the tracking has gotten so much worse since the iOS updates, so you cannot even accurately measure what's working and what's not working. And your account, like I mentioned, can get shut down at any time for any reason with no warning and no way to get it back at all, right? So paid ads should be part of your strategy, not your entire strategy. If Facebook ads are your only way to get clients, your business is one banned account from basically going to zero, right? Now, let's talk about outbound, right? Which is another method that we can acquire, clients. Because outbound is basically when you are proactively reaching out to potential clients through channels such as, cold emails, cold DMs, maybe, on Instagram or LinkedIn, or perhaps cold calling a list, right? And here are the pros of outbound. It's extremely cost effective. You can start with almost zero budget, just your time and maybe $100 per month for email software, and you have complete control over who you reach out to. You can target your exact ideal client instead of hoping the algorithm finds them, right? And it's not dependent on any platforms, ad policies or algorithm. Nobody can shut down your ability to send emails or DMs, right? And it works especially well for B2B, or high ticket offers where you can clearly identify your target market. Now, here are some of the cons. The cons are that it takes time and effort, right? Yes, you can find somebody on your team, right? Or an external person that can actually do the outreach consistently. But your response rates are typically low, right? You might send 100 emails to get maybe 3 responses. And it requires skill to write messaging that doesn't feel spammy or doesn't chase the prospects away, right? And here's the thing, it's harder to scale than ads because it's more labor intensive, right? And some platforms like LinkedIn and Instagram have limits on how many messages you can send per day. But here's the thing that most people miss. Outbound is an untapped gold mine in the high ticket space because almost nobody's doing it well because everybody has just been taught to run ads, right? And if you can build a solid outbound system, you'll have a client acquisition channel that costs almost nothing and nobody can take it away from you, okay? Now, let's talk a bit about organic content because this is a big one in the space as well. Now, you guys all know what organic content is, right? It means creating content or valuable content and posting it on platforms such as this, YouTube, podcast, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. And again, some of the pros here is that it's free for distribution. You're not paying for eyeballs, right? And it builds massive trust and authority because people consume hours of your content before they even talk to you, right? And the leads typically basically are higher quality because, they've self-selected, right, by engaging your content, okay? And this compounds over time. A YouTube video made today can generate leads for years, and it creates an asset you own. Your content library has value. okay? Some of the cons is that it takes a long time to see results. You might create content for 6 to 12 months before you see any significant lead flow at all, and it requires consistency. You can't just post once and expect results, right? It takes skills to create content that actually resonates and drives action. And the algorithm still controls your reach to some extent, so you're not completely independent here. Organic content is a long-term play. It's not going to replace your ads next month. But if you start now and stay consistent, in 12 months, you could have a lead generation engine that costs you nothing and generates high-quality leads for years and years and years to come. Now let's talk about referrals. So referrals are when your past clients or your network or your contacts send you new business. Here are some of the pros. These are the highest quality of leads you'll ever get. They come in pre-sold because someone they trusted recommended you. And your close rates on referrals are typically anywhere from 50 to 70% or even higher. And here's the great thing, they don't cost you anything to acquire. Right? Now, here are some of the cons. They're unpredictable, you cannot control when referrals come in, and most businesses treat referrals that just basically are, something that happens. They treat it like something that happens instead of building a system around generating referrals, right? And again, referrals, they don't generate linearly, right? You cannot just decide on, oh, I want more referrals this month. That's not how it works, right? But here's where most businesses go wrong. They deliver their service, their client is happy, and they never ask for a referral. They just hope it happens, organically. And the businesses that gets tons of referrals, they have a system. They ask for referrals at specific points in the client journey. They make it easy to refer by providing templates or introductions, right? They incentivize referrals with bonuses or discounts, and they stay in touch with past clients so they stay top of mind. Now, if you're not systematically generating referrals, you are leaving money on the table. Now let's talk about the final avenue here, which are partnerships. Now partnerships are, joint ventures, affiliate relationships, and strategic alliances where somebody else promotes you to their audience, right? Now some of the pros here is that you get access to an audience that you couldn't reach on your own, right? The leads come with built-in trust because they trust the person referring them, right? And it can scale quickly if you find the right partners. And it's typically performance-based, so you only pay when you get results, which is great. Now, what are some of the cons you might be asking? Well, finding good partners and, building great relationships, this takes time, right? It doesn't happen overnight. And you're dependent on somebody else's effort and promotion schedule, right? And the economies, right, or the economics, I should say, have to work for both parties involved, right? Which can be complicated. And, bad partners, they can damage your reputation if they promote you to the wrong audience, or if they basically overpromise, right? Which basically can be a huge mess up if, they don't promote your product, or they're basically promoting your product and overselling people, right? That is a huge no-no that can happen to, a lot of people, and I've struggled with this in the past, right? You trust somebody that they're just gonna bring in business for you and recommend leads, right? But again, you can really screw up your reputation if they're over-promising, right, just to get the deal done, because they're gonna get a commission check, and after that, they don't have to deal with a client, right? That is very, very, very important, right? Again, as long as you nail that down, partnerships are underutilized in this space. Everybody is fighting for the same Facebook ad inventory when they could be building relationships with complementary businesses who already have their ideal clients, right? Think about, who else serves your target market but doesn't compete against you. Those are potential partners, right? A single strong partnership can generate more qualified leads than months of Facebook ads. Okay, now here's what smart businesses do. They don't rely on a single channel. They build a diverse client acquisition system, right? Maybe 40% of their leads come from paid ads, 25% come from outbound, 20% come from organic content, and 15% come from referrals or partnerships. Now, when Facebook costs spike, they're not, panicking because they have other channels producing leads. And when their ad account eventually gets shut down, their business doesn't stop because the leads are still coming from other sources. This is how you build a real business instead of, a house of cards. And the problem is that, building multiple channels, well, that takes more effort than just throwing money at Facebook ads, right? You need a diverse set of skills, different systems, different team members. But that's exactly why most of your competitors won't do it. And that's why you'll have a massive advantage if you do it, right? So stop looking for that one magic channel that will solve all your problems and build a diversified system that can survive and thrive no matter what platform or what a single platform does. Okay, now this is exactly what we help our clients with at Sales Match. We help businesses maximize every single lead they get and generate, regardless of what channel it comes from, right? Because when you're paying $400 to $700 per qualified call from ads, you cannot afford to waste a single lead. You need world-class appointment setters who follow up properly, qualify thoroughly, and ensure every buyer or potential buyer gets on your calendar. And you need closers who can convert at higher rates, so your cost per acquisition, well, hopefully it stays manageable, right? And when you're building outbound, you need setters who know how to work cold leads, warm them up, and turn cold outreach into booked appointments. So that's exactly what we do here at Sales Match, is that we go out and recruit world-class sales talents such as appointment setters and closers and place them within our businesses, our clients' businesses. And our clients, they only pay us after we have placed a successful person within their business. So more on that in the links below, but other than that, I hope you got real value from this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.